Hi, I'm Lisa. I've been researching my family tree on and off for the past 25 years, and let's just say things have gotten a little messy in places. In the early days, I was chasing down those records and just spending all my time online, working late into the night, and not always properly sourcing things. So now I'm slowing down and I want to go back over my research. And if your tree feels messy, or if you're just a family historian that, I don't know, might be amused by this, I'd love for you to follow along. Part of the problem is that my research was put online, and if there are any mistakes, there's no doubt they've been replicated because I've had my tree online and public since the pretty early days. All right, let's back up and let me tell you a little backstory. The passion for family history research actually came about in 1999 when my great grandmother passed away, sadly. She was 99 years old, and funnily enough, I had been an Anglophile since my, I don't know, early teens, and I'd been living in England about 6 months when she sadly passed away. And I believed, or I'd been told, that her family was all from the Netherlands. And when I read her obituary, I actually saw that her parents' names were quite English sounding, or certainly not Dutch sounding. So this sparked something in me. I was like, I have to know who these people are. The DNA has reshaped how we approach research. And now there's all these wonderful tools. So back in the day when I started, I did have family history software I started using fairly early on. And I feel like that's improved a lot over the years. So yeah, let's just say there's like a whole rethinking of my approach now. In the early days, though, I did accumulate a lot of stuff, like a lot of notes on paper, lots of digital photographs of places and records and of the microfilm screens, microfiche screens, and didn't piece it together that well, always. Um, I just assumed I would eventually get around to it, but over the years, like it just mounted up. So I'm pretty sure that now when I go back through it, I'm gonna find things that now make sense to me, names that make sense that they didn't make sense before. My love of family history research actually sort of led to my other career, my real career, which was user experience research in technology. So it was kind of nice to apply some of the same skills. Again, I don't know if it's a coincidence or somehow my ancestors have shaped me, but I am also very migratory. I moved to the UK twice now in my life, and within the US and the UK, I've moved around quite a bit. Now obsessed with migration routes. I also love travel. It's always been part of something I've loved. I have been really fortunate to be able to travel to some of my ancestral locations: Sweden, Germany, France, Netherlands, although I was at a tech conference and I had the opportunity. However, I was a little bit hungover and I got to phoning in late that day and I had to make a choice. Do I try to go in the archives or do I go explore ancestral villages? So I chose villages, and yeah, I'll have to go back. I mean, in my head, I was like, I'm gonna go back. I live in England, like they're very close. So, but I still haven't been back, and it's been over 10 years. And the main places I've mostly done research in archives have been in the USA and in Yorkshire and a little bit in Canada. Ukraine is the only place I haven't been to, and partly it was logistics, partly I need to be confident about the village where my great grandmother was born. So, as I mentioned before, DNA. So that's definitely, it's made things better, but it's also complicated things. So there's so many other DNA databases I haven't really had time to focus on. So I I'm gonna come back to that. So why am I why am I on YouTube? I'm doing this. I want to hold myself accountable for putting my research back together. I am doing it for me. There's no one in my family I think that cares all that much, but you never know. Other people might eventually care. I'm writing about it on Substack as well as part of this accountability. And I think it's just nice to be creative. There's also a wonderful genealogy community on Substack. They're doing lots of fun things with writing. And oh, there's a cattail. Um, I do want to spend some time turning it into stories, and I know that the DNA is something I could just deep dive onto. So I mean, accuracy means something to me. I know it might not look like it at first glance, but it does. I just want to tell their stories. Sorry, there's an entire back half of a cat. The timing is working out this way because I was very busy with a full-time career, and now I'm working part-time and I'm freelancing. So I feel like I've gotten to the stage where I've earned this break, and I really, really, really want to focus on my genealogy. Like enough messing around. So coming back to one of the other problems with my family tree is that when I was working on the friends, associates, and neighbors, I was putting them into my main family tree. So I feel like I have these like islands of family, and I don't honestly always know when I'm looking at them whether how they're connected, why they're there, why I thought they were important. Um, Maybe the earlier versions of my software didn't have the sophisticated connections that they do now. So I've learned, I think the hard way, I feel like it's important to keep these people in outside because before I know their family, I'm actually just looking for the patterns. And if I'm adding people and looking for patterns that connect to those other islands, then it's important that it's just not messing up my tree. So I have that approach that I mentioned before that I'm working on. And the idea with this other approach is I really want to put it all together and draw conclusions before I start adding them into my family tree. So alongside working with my main tree, I'm also alongside working with my main family tree, I'm probably going to change the software at some point, but it's not a problem to focus on right now. I've tinkered a little bit and I'm still not sure, but I'm very, very happy with Trileo. I'll actually leave a link in the description if you want to have a look. And then I think we're definitely at the early stages of what AI can do. Like right now, it can't log into family history software and I can't tell it, okay, bring me back the name of everybody who lived in Belvedere, Illinois in the 1850 census. Like it can't do that yet. So there's still like manual extractions that have to happen, but it is really good database that's just focused on this time and this place. I think that's really freaking powerful. So I've also been focusing on the research questions, and that just really helps me stay a little bit focused. Like I'm always going to have that bright, shiny object syndrome where I'm going to be like, ooh, but I'm really trying to split my time 3 different ways. So I'm definitely going to be focusing on the fan network for my Oren Briggs because that's going to be fabulous if I can prove or disprove he's that guy from Maine with the wife and everything else. Or, maybe it turns out he belongs to somebody else. There's quite literally yeah, I'm just staying open-minded, right? Obviously. And then I'm also with the fan club, like I said, I'm keeping them separate. I'm going to be doing some sourcing. I'm going to show you that in a separate video, but I'm very excited by it because it has some AI-powered tools that is looking for the gaps, right? And then I'm also going to try to prioritize when I'm looking at these fan club members because the fan network, there's going to be people that are just going to be higher priority because they're appearing with my ancestor on a certain document or they're a neighbor, they live close by. So that is a manual process for me or semi-manual. And then finally, a technique I used to use is I want to mark my confidence level on when I do make some conclusions because there's times you're going to be less confident, but you're, fairly confident in the absence of any other evidence. Sometimes you just have to decide this is the right person. They are the same person. Anyway, if you want to follow along while I audit my tree, I would love it. I'm going to be publishing on Substack, and that'll be maybe some more detailed notes, some workflows, and yeah, anything else that I think is appropriate for that audience. And you'll eventually see how I develop my confidence ranking system and how I'm reviewing my evidence, growing my fan network, verifying it, and the entire approach, and cleaning up a 20-some-year-old tree. So thanks for watching. Take care. Bye for now.